Welcome to the latest edition of Legal Unicorns. Welcome back. I'm absolutely delighted to be back in the studio in Johannesburg, and I am joined today by the wonderful and fantastic Ruth Gondwe. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Rob, for having me. I'm quite excited for this.
Brilliant. Excellent. Look, it's such a delight to have you on. As we were just saying off camera, you know, we started speaking, I think, last year, and then obviously, you know, life gets in the way.
So much of that. We tried arranging this for quite some time, but I'm happy that we finally got there.
Brilliant. And I thank you so much. You are, as I put on LinkedIn yesterday, you are the epitome of what this podcast is all about. It is to highlight and showcase the talent that we have here on the continent, and delve into their life and what they're doing and the path that you are taking. Yes. And we were obviously off camera just talking about our mutual friend who's been on before as well. And what is so fascinating is the feedback that we get when sitting with professionals like yourself. Mm-hmm. Is generally from lawyers of all stages in their career, but a lot from the younger generation.
Oh, that's good to know.
Who are looking at you and you know and others and going, hey, look at the path they've taken. I can do the same. So thank you for joining us. And we're going to kick straight in. I mean, for those of you who are listening, and there will be a link in the description for your LinkedIn profile.
Great.
But Ruth is a commercial lawyer who has found her way around the world and to South Africa, and is currently and has just started an incredible position, which we want to delve into, with the wonderful Weber Wenzel in their fusion department.
Yes.
Which, and I know that you're, as you said, you're only a week in.
I'm just a week in.
When you look back on this interview in 5 years' time, you'll be like, oh, I was just so new to it. But it'll be great because that is the sort of thing where people are going to go, what? Weber Wenzel has a fusion department?
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
You know, and I was amazed because I was very discouraged at the start about joining a law firm. I was told that, you know, you won't do anything there. Law firms are quite backward. So when the head of the department reached out to me and told me of all these exciting things that they were doing, I wanted to join because, you know, how close can you get to the integration of law and technology, but to work within a law firm? So that's what really triggered my excitement. It took me a while to get there, I would say. I was talking to the head of department for a year. It did take that long to get me there, but I finally got there. And now being there a week in, I can actually see where the changes are, how much work has been done in terms of fusing the law and technology together. So I'm quite excited about the journey ahead.
I know it's difficult for you to say because obviously you've only been there a week, but my brain is just going electric because this is something that I talk about a lot. I do another monthly update podcast video series for a wonderful online platform here called Tech for Law. Okay. And that is all about the legal tech market and jobs in particular, because obviously that's my area of expertise. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I've kept saying is about the growth within the major law firms here and across the continent.
Yes.
And they're, to use your term, fusing together of legal tech and law, and that being where these really interesting case studies and jobs and projects are coming up. Yeah. So it's really nice to, because I wasn't aware that you just started that new job. So it's very nice to have you in. Yeah. But before we get to that stage, I'd like the listeners to know a little bit more about you. So if you wouldn't mind, and obviously we always set people a little bit of homework, really, as we just said off camera, really to remind you of you, so you can sit for 5 minutes and go, oh yeah, I did that. Yes. No. Yeah. But would you mind just sharing with us, you know, your journey and where you're from originally and how you've found yourself here?
Well, this is just lovely. Thank you for the opportunity, Rob. I mean, I come from Malawi. That's where I'm originally from. It's a small country in southern Africa, and it's also called the warm heart of Africa because of, you know, of its warmth, and the people are just so kind-hearted. You should visit.
I will.
You should. Yeah, but that's where I come from, and that's where my family is based. So that's where my initial interest in law started, because my dad is actually a lawyer.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, but he was in the public space. So I grew up around law reports. I grew up understanding what law is all about. But unfortunately, no one in my family who was a woman had ever gotten a degree of any sort. And so the idea that a woman would get a degree was a bit far-fetched within our family. So I grew up knowing that probably my brothers would get the degrees, because I have 3 brothers. I'm an only girl.
Okay. Are you the youngest? Or?
No, I'm the third. So there's
Okay,
one behind. Yeah, I'm the third. Yeah. So I grew up understanding that, okay, probably they would do that. And it was so obvious that the firstborn brother followed after my father's footsteps.
Into law.
Into law. Yeah. So, but subconsciously, I think I started to think that, oh, I can do that too. Why wouldn't I do that? And my mom, you know, she's my hero.
Right.
She'd only done matriculation or an equivalent of that. But she really spent a lot of time, because she stopped working. She was a secretary at the time and stopped working to take care of my brothers and I. So we had a lot of supervision, and she spent a lot of her time encouraging me to do school and making sure that I grow up. Even if I stop at matriculation, that's fine. But she always tried to push me forward and helped my brothers also see that I could do this. So subconsciously, I think I started to think that I could do this. And when I saw my dad, maybe it triggered something. I'm not sure. Maybe, I don't know. But I do remember consciously the day I made my decision to be a lawyer was actually when I was watching a movie.
Please tell me which one.
I think it was Legally Blonde or something, because it was something a bit more cheesy, and because the lawyer was always dressing in pink. So that's why I think maybe it was Legally.
Reese Witherspoon.
Probably.
I'm smiling because just as a sidebar on Legally Blonde, my darling wife, when we were living overseas many years ago, but unbeknownst to me, managed to convince all of our friends that my favourite movie was Legally Blonde 2.
How did
Not
she
even
do
just
that?
Legally Blonde, Legally Blonde 2. So there's friends out there that still think that that's my favourite movie of all time. And you know what? I don't mind it. I don't mind Legally Blonde. What is it? Elle Woods is her character. Great fun movie. I can't say that it's my favourite movie of all time,
true.
but it's nice. Sorry, there's a little sidebar on that movie.
But I think she showed me that you could be a lawyer as a woman, funny enough. And I thought, oh, she seems to be gathering her way around this space, so maybe I could also try and be a lawyer. So that's when I do remember.
Facing a lot of barriers as well.
Yes, she was facing a lot of barriers. So I started to think that, whatever happens I was literally growing up in a male-dominated home or space. So I felt I could still make a difference here. I can still have a degree. So that was the first goal, and then obviously to become a lawyer. So my mom joined that bandwagon when I finally told her, which was only years later. And she got me law students who mentored me. So I was still, in grade, I don't know, would have been 5 or whatever, but she would bring in law students just to talk to me, and they were all women. And tell me that. So I started to believe.
Bravo, Mum.
Yeah. Yeah, she did that, And so when my brother didn't make it to law school, my brother then also was like, okay, maybe you can do it. Maybe you can do it.
Your oldest brother?
Yeah, that's my oldest brother. I said, maybe you can do it. Maybe you can do it. So it became a sort of, the family started to support me. My dad only got on that wagon when I was in law school. That's when my dad started. But his support after that was just incredible, because he really helped me now to understand the space and to go for what I wanted. So, whereas he's in public law, he encouraged me to lean into my strengths. So I'm very, that's been something that I'm very appreciative of in terms of my family's support to make me who I am today.
It's lovely to hear that, and thanks for sharing that, because that is again something that many of the listeners across the world, but also specifically some more emerging markets across Africa will really resonate with them.
Yeah.
That family dynamic, and the fact that your mum took the path of going, no, I'm. She didn't. Well, it doesn't sound like she was overly pushy, but she also didn't just assume the cultural norm. Mm-hmm. She just said no, and then she would get you in help and she kind of level. You touched on it there. You said about your brothers, sort of that they could see that you could do it.
Yes.
So she kind of leveled the playing field.
Yes.
And said it doesn't matter the gender. Yeah. We all have the same opportunities. Yes. That's wonderful.
Yes,
That's
I
really
remember
wonderful.
that we would sit in the living room, and in terms of like. School games would all play together. So she would have these flashcards there, and everyone would participate. I wasn't allowed to sit out because I wasn't able to. So that also just really prepared my mind, I feel, for what I am going through at this stage in my career, where I'm charting my way up there. But it did set that pace for me. Of positivity within myself and confidence within myself that I have something to contribute and I shouldn't shut the door on myself. So
love it. Incredible. Yeah, I mean, we're not all sad as it is. Not everybody is blessed with such wonderful parents.
Yeah.
Your mother sounds very similar to my own.
Oh.
And just this sort of not over driving, but just always supportive and always pushing, but in a good way, and showing me what I could do and I could achieve, and as cheesy as it may sound, to go for your dreams.
Yes.
It's okay to want to do this X, Y, and Z. Go for it.
Yes.
And it's also okay to fail as well. Yeah.
That's really it, because there's been a lot of fails along the way. It's just part of the journey to figure yourself out. Because when I went into law school, and we did touch on this off camera, that I did it in England.
Yes,
and I was, I was 18 when I went there, and
sorry to just interject. So you left Malawi at 18 to go to England.
Yes.
Got a position at the University of Sussex.
At University of Sussex, and it was really hard for me and for my family as well, because I was 18 and only girl.
Had you travelled abroad before?
Not too far. So not too far.
Maybe surrounding
Africa. So I'd been around Africa, but I hadn't been overseas, as we call it. So this was the first time that I was going to do that.
Turn up in Brighton.
Yeah, I was going to turn up
where there's no sand on the beach.
No sand,
just big
rock.
Stones.
And Malawi.
That's not a beach.
And Malawi has all these beautiful sandy beaches. And I was there, and it was going to be hard. But my family had also relocated to Japan at the time.
Wow.
Yeah, so
because of
my dad's job.
Okay, I was going to say, many years ago, used to have an office in Tokyo for a couple of years, so I know it well. But the jump from Malawi to Japan is quite big
that was really big and very life-changing for my family, because we'd been in Malawi all our lives. But at that time, my brothers were already in university as well, so it was only really my parents who relocated. I was in school there. My brothers all stayed in Malawi and only visit for holidays.
I'd love to have seen that conversation with your mum and dad. By the way, we're moving to Tokyo.
Yeah.
Where?
That's how we heard it, yeah.
Well, you say public law, was that more government
Yes,
work
that was government work. He was in Parliament. Yes, he was moved there as an ambassador there from Malawi to Tokyo.
And in Tokyo?
Yes, so Shibuya was our place.
And did you visit?
Yes, I did visit over there. Very lovely. Very
Anybody out there, if you get the chance, go to Tokyo.
Yeah,
and surrounding areas.
Yeah, but now that I think about it, I am seeing that my awareness to technology was influenced by all these things that were happening around my life, because Tokyo is very advanced technology-wise. It's a lot of progress that's happening there. So I was exposed to this because we would go to these technology houses. We would go to Panasonic and all of these places and see what they're building and doing.
Yeah.
So I, thinking about it, probably a bit of that was also put in there as my, influence in terms of getting me to where I am today.
All your travel, of course, and we'll touch on it shortly, which is your passion and your interest on the tech space within law.
Yes.
And you cannot be failed but to be influenced when you're in parts of the world like Japan, and having the opportunity to go and see perhaps, some of the factories and some of the design centres where they're doing things that are mind-blowing.
Yes,
and you go, wow, that's, I didn't know that about you. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Are they not still there, are they?
No, they're back in Malawi. So my parents are back in Malawi.
Was it hard for them to leave? Because Tokyo's nice.
Yeah, I think it was. I mean, they're not going to tell me, but I think it was. Yeah, I think it was.
Very functioning city. Everyone's very friendly. Everything's very clean. The food's amazing.
Amazing.
Everything runs on time. You get on the train. It says it's coming at 9:01. It comes at 9:01.
Yes, but and the complete opposite in Malawi, because Malawi, I mean, everything is it drags.
Slower.
Let's call it slower.
Slower pace of life.
Yes.
But why are you in such a hurry?
Let's enjoy our lives. Let's sit here.
Which is also lovely, but can be very frustrating. It's funny thinking of that, actually, because I similar-ish move for me, moving here, to your parents moving back, although they were going home, but spending many years in Japan, then moving to Malawi, and I spent a decade in Hong Kong, and then came here, and Cape Town in particular, which obviously I've learned to fall in love with.
Yes.
And obviously you've just moved from Cape Town, back up to Joburg. The pace was something I just couldn't deal with. It's like, why is everyone going so slow? So you're 18 and you moved to Brighton or Sussex, which has 3 hot days a year.
Yes, 3 hot days a year. Completely opposite to Malawi, which is hot most of the year. We probably have one season. And
culturally, though, as well, would have been very different.
Very different.
Brighton's got lots of clubs and bars and a big gay scene and not a lot of business going on, but big university.
Yes. I'd never heard about a pub crawl until I got there. It was like induction week, pub crawl. What's a pub crawl?
Do I have to crawl? I don't want to crawl on this street.
Yes, so it was a culture shock for me. I cried on my way there, the whole flight. And when I got into residence, I cried again because I just felt so alone. I just felt so unsupported. I just felt like I couldn't do it. I mean, there's no way I was going to do this. I was coming from a place where I was very supported, very guided, to this place where suddenly I'm supposed to be a grown-up. And I'm supposed to take care of everything, to cook for myself, go make sure I'm studying right, make sure I'm integrating into the society because it's completely different. So no friends, zero everything. So it was starting from scratch, literally. And however many times you were told that was going to happen, at 18 you kind of go, I've got this. Yes.
And then it happens.
And then it happens and it's shocking. Yes. Yes. But I mean, my mom, I only knew years later that she was also scared because during the process she was like, you have to get over it, Ruth. I understand you're feeling this way, but your life is right there now. So you just have to start living each day at a time. So it was very it's
really tough as a parent myself, having to basically, your mum had to lie to herself, really. Basically. She really just wants to put her arms around you and go, please don't go, stay here. But actually she's having to convince herself and then convince you, go. Yes. And then all the while going, am I doing the right thing?
Yes. Exactly what she told me years later.
Hero.
She said,
she's amazing.
Yeah, she said to me that I couldn't push all those feelings to you as well because then you would feel very scared.
And you probably wouldn't have gone.
Yes. So, but she said I had to be strong as well and to also believe that this was the right thing for you to do. So we all got through it. I managed really well. And over the weekends to integrate into the society better, I did find a part-time job. I don't know if you know the Works Bookshop, but that's where that's where I used to work. So over the weekends.
Nice. Well, that helps as well.
Yes. It helped me firstly to start to have friends because my work colleagues were my friends. And then that helped. And then, of course, some international societies as well helped me to get integrated in that. And then, the rest was just trying to fit in, or trying to, and then also just doing my best every day. So that was really hard.
I mean, that's a great lesson for anyone listening here most of the people that will be listening to this will probably have gone to somewhere to secure a job or have secured a job beforehand. But if they haven't, and if they're a bit younger and they're in the student days, that part-time job in retail is not to be underestimated.
No.
You have got it's a hard, we all know retail's a hard job, and it's not easy, and it's laborious, and your friends in there, your colleagues do become your friends of varying ages. And you learn more about the culture of where you're at.
Yes.
And then also the people coming into the store, some of whom are probably super rude. But you get to learn to deal with different scenarios.
I always say that now in my job, probably the things I learned, the skills I learned there were some of the most important skills I use in my career. Because, sales, you're always selling.
Yeah, always selling.
You're always selling. So I was talking to different types of people. And I remember my boss always used to say, sell more, sell more, sell more. And I'm trying to, how am I going to speak? My accent is different and all of that. So I had to overcome a lot of personal insecurities in order to work in that environment. And so it taught me a lot about not listening to the inner voice that is always pulling you back.
Which we all have.
So I started to learn to say, I can still do it, and, so try. So that was really good. And interestingly, that helped me because I had one foot in law, and then I had one foot in business, there was retail. I didn't know it at the time, but it was sort of shaping my mind to start to integrate these two parts of myself into something. So when I started, I started in government as well with my dad when I went back home, and I started in litigation actually.
So after your degree, you went back home?
Yes, I did go back home, and my training and everything was primarily in government.
Okay.
So when I started there, it was a bit rigid for me because all of a sudden, there's so much procedure in litigation. There's so much processes in litigation. It seems like everything is dragging, and no one really prepares you that you're going to learn on the job. You're going to make mistakes on the job. No one prepares you. So I remember one time I went into court, and the judge, I'd worn a shirt that was not the right color. Okay.
Ooh.
So the judge.
There'll be people listening to this going, okay, yeah, I had that.
Yeah, I had a little whip there that was struck. So, but you don't know all these things. But then it felt like it wasn't the right fit for me because all of a sudden, I'm in this, it felt like a straitjacket for a bit. Unfortunately.
Whereas you've clearly got at that point your mind is developing, your direction is developing, and you've got a creative mind.
Yes.
That level of procedure sometimes
is really hard.
Really hold you back.
Yes, and I was handling matters in personal injuries, and that can be really personal because you're looking at people who've really suffered harm. Someone bumped into them and they're injured and their quality of life has completely deteriorated. It was really can't work, can't do so many things.
Out.
You find people who went for simple hospital procedure and it's just turned into a nightmare because the doctor was negligent, and it's changed everything, their kid's life. And so it was really heavy on my heart.
And you're still young.
Yes, I was really young, and it's heavy on my heart. And so I told my dad that, look, I don't think this is a good fit for me. I don't think I'm happy here. Then my dad said, where do you think you'd be happy? So I said, I think in the commercial space, because I do love business. It's just I happen to be a lawyer. And then so my dad said, okay, let's try and merge the two and get you into a commercial space. So I did try to get an in-house role, and I liked it. I liked the work I was doing, but the culture was wrong. So I started to understand the importance of culture in the workplace. And so I decided to look into myself and say, okay, which environment suits you best? Do you like a fast pace? Do you like a slow pace? Do you like warm people? Do you like politics? What environment suits you best? So, I had to dig deep, but I did find out that I did like business, I did like the law, and I did like creativity and learning and exploring and all of those kind of things. That really mattered to me. So that's when I applied for my master's degree in University of Cape Town, which they took me to. That was a master's in commercial law. They took me to do it, but I didn't have the money.
So what year are we talking now?
And now we're in 2015.
Okay. Right.
Yeah, so I didn't have the money, 2014, 2015. I
To
just
get there, to study, and to live
yes.
in Cape Town.
And as an
cheap.
international person from Malawi, I'm earning an equivalent of, that time in government. So I'm earning an equivalent of, you wouldn't imagine, like 5,000 rands maybe.
Yeah.
And then this school fees is coming in, and it's 70,000 for the degree, and then accommodation and everything. Where am I going to get that money?
Life.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I started several side hustles to raise the money. So I got into, I'm really good at writing. So I got into editing essays for people. I bought some stuff and sold them out. It just marked up the price. So my retail came in handy there.
Nice.
And I started raising this money. And even though I did quite a good job of it, even after a year or so of raising the money, it still wasn't enough. But it was enough to get me on a flight, get me accommodation for 5 months, and pay part of my fees. So I got on a plane. It was madness, and came to Cape Town.
And you'd never been to Cape Town?
I'd never been to Cape Town. So I got on a plane, I got here. So I had to start. But I was like, okay, I'll find a job there somehow. I have 20 hours as a student to work, and then I'll support myself. So I registered and did everything. And then I found a job then as a telesales. Yeah, as a telesales agent. So I got that job. I didn't know if I was going to be good at it, but it's scripted, so that helped. And I started selling again. And the good thing was it was on commission. So the more I sold, the more money I got.
And you've got the goal, because the goal is to pay for tuition, the course, to eat, to rent, to stay there and get that master's finished.
Yes. And basically what I was trying to do is just chase after my dreams and take ownership of my career. Because the thing is, sometimes you can wait for a scholarship. And there are other ways you can raise money for yourself. I think you have to bet on yourself as a person. That's something I find very important. You have to bet on your dreams that you can do it. Because investors do that all the time with companies. They bet on their success. But I think you're your best asset. So you have to bet on yourself. So that's exactly what I did. So it was hard because the master's was hard as well. I remember I spent a lot of hours in the library. The good thing was it was 24 hours. And then I would also have to do the telesales to get that money. But they had to work hand in hand. When I finished that, it helped because when I got back to Malawi, I was now doubling in commercial products and handling more commercial matters, and also able to look out for opportunities that were diverting from my trajectory. Were moving into business and the law for me. So thankfully, I got on a project with the World Bank. They were trying to create a portal for where all the laws regarding export and import would be placed in this portal, so that if someone wants to import things into Malawi, they would know what procedures to follow. And if someone wants to export things, they would know. So they wanted an analyst to analyze the laws, which most of them were trade laws. And I found that exciting. And I had to deal with many stakeholders who were not lawyers. So I had to deal with the businessmen, I had to deal with the government ministries and different parts of it. But all these pieces of this puzzle was just exciting for me. And I started to see this is what I want to do. I want to make the law accessible to people faster, easier. I don't want things to drag along. I want something a bit more like, they say the wheels of justice are slow in moving, but I wanted to be able to impact people's lives in this way, where they would feel that, okay, I can do things easier, I can do things faster.
Do you think that's where the light bulb moment almost for your beginning of your journey into that legal tech space was sort of born, maybe?
That was subconscious, Rob, because honestly, I only had that light bulb moment when I was answering your questions, the homework you sent to me. That's when I thought, this is what was happening there. Yeah. But so it was subconscious. So you weren't
conscious of it at the time, but
no.
Looking back, it's where
I'm thinking that's where I started to move into this space that I'm in. So I started doing more of those projects, which was great for me. And then I got to a happy place in my career. I felt I was doing things, it wasn't so rigid. I was able to jump on things that I wanted, that I was enjoying, that was exciting for me. And then out of the blue, Professor Hutchison in University of Cape Town calls me and says to me, Ruth, I read your paper on your master's paper, and this is 3 years later. Okay, so I finished my master's. This is 3 years later. We're now in 2018.
Yeah.
It's like, I think we can do good work together. Would you be interested in doing a PhD? And I'm thinking, let me get back to you. But what space are you in?
Were you still in Cape Town at that point?
No, at that time I'm back in Malawi.
Malawi.
Yeah. So I'm looking at it, and they're telling me that, okay, maybe you should come back to Cape Town. So I had a moment. I consulted a lot, my friends, my family, and I got a lot of no's, to be honest. A lot of people were like, a PhD will ruin your life. Firstly, now people won't want to hire you because they can't afford you. Now as a woman, you won't get married because no one wants to live with a PhD holder in the house, looking smart every time. So I was told many things. I mean, you wouldn't believe it. But at the end of the day, when I came down to it, the project was exciting for me because it was in banking and finance. So that was within my wheelhouse because it was more corporate, more commercial for me.
And you've done the little bit of work with the World Bank.
I've done
as well.
with the World Bank,
seen...
and I've seen that, and I've also at that point, I know my interests, I know myself.
Yeah.
So I love learning, I love the law, and I love the business space. So I'm thinking this is perfect for me, and I've been in Cape Town this time, so that's fine. So I did ask him, do you have any funding? And he said, oh, no, we don't have any funding at the moment. But I was like, okay, I'm not new to self-sponsorship.
Yeah.
Let's do it again. So I jumped again, and I got into Cape Town. But this time, he got me more research positions where we were able to work with the University of Oxford and on something. So that was really good. And then funding started to come in my second year. A lot of funding, actually, for the project, so for the paper. So that really helped. And it did, because I was so focused on studying, I wanted an outlet, like somewhere where I would meet people and build a community. And then that's when I found a job with Exigent.
Yes.
Exigent, who is, they are an alternative legal service provider.
They are, based in Cape Town.
Yeah,
well,
based
in
Cape Town.
a few places, but Cape Town.
But Cape Town predominantly, yes. And they do legal technology. That's
Yeah.
mostly what they do. So I delved into this world and started to learn and really enjoy the space. So I would do my thesis, and then when I get a writer's block, I'm working, I'm doing this. It started like a part-time gig, but I was good at my job. They love me, I loved them.
I have no doubt about that. Just hearing your journey, I have no doubt.
Yeah, so I loved them, they loved me. So I rose in the ranks, and they
you
gave
can see
me...
that on your LinkedIn profile.
Yeah.
And that's not easy to do.
No, it really wasn't, because it was a new space for me. So I was trying to discover that.
Yeah.
But being a learner, a continuous learner, helped me to be able to read and also find other solutions out there, because there's a lot going on in the space. So it helped me to contribute to that. Plus, with all my sales experience, I was able to be comfortable with clients and understand clients and listen to them and find solutions that fitted them well. So that really helped as well. So I felt like this place merged all the sides of me that I enjoy about myself.
Commercial,
law, tech, business, so,
client-facing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And because the space is so new, there's a lot of, you need to read a lot, you need to research a lot, you need to explore, you need to be creative, you need to add so many
Creativity is key with the alternative legal service providers, because they've got to go in very quickly, try to understand the client, and then offer a tech and traditional law fused service that is best for that client.
Yes.
So
Yes.
All of your interests
all of my interests were merged
very
there.
nicely.
Yes, so it was perfect, and it took me a long, as you can see from my journey, it took me a long time to get to that place. But when I finally got there, it was worth everything.
And this is all while you're doing your PhD.
This is while I'm doing my PhD. Then I graduated in 2022, and I'm like,
and
what
you became
next?
Dr. Ruth.
I became Dr.
Which
Ruth.
is a big part of your journey, and
A big
congratulations
thank
on
you
that
so
as
much.
well.
You know, I cried so much when I graduated.
Well, I mean, crying obviously because of happiness and celebrating your journey. That's an incredible. Well, look, it's an incredible achievement, and it is a big part of your journey. It's something that those that listen to this and see your journey and your never say die attitude, your ability to pivot and go, no, well then I'm going to raise my funds and I'm going to get myself there because this is what I want to do. Yeah. That PhD fits in. It's almost like the cherry on top of the cake of going, no, and the fact that you're in Cape Town where a lot of these tech-fused legal service providers are more so than any other city. The fact that you're there, you took the chance to go back to Cape Town and then Exigent, which are one of the better ones and one of the best ones, and you put yourself there. Yes. And that's a really big lesson for everybody that we work with. You put yourself there, and it's that hard work and ability to take a chance, back yourself. You mentioned it yourself. You need to bet on yourself. You went, no, I can do this. Yes. And the journey that you're telling us about as well. Obviously, you've mentioned your mum and dad and what a massive part, and you mentioned it in your notes beforehand as well. What a big part of your life your mum is. That journey, I mean, it's lovely to hear because it's so inspiring. It really is. Yes. That the way she parented you, the support to give you the belief, and then to convince you to almost lie to you.
That was a straight out lie.
In the UK, and then she's probably sitting there going, "Oh, I don't know," But it was, and then you made it work. Yes. And I think that's the biggest lesson we can teach some of the younger listeners as well, or anyone at any level really, is that. And because I say it to the senior lawyers that I work with as well who are looking to change, is that you can be in control of this. Yes. You've got to, and you've shown that by being in control, working hard, being dedicated, you can become Dr. Ruth. You can. And have the career at the cutting edge of what you want to do. Yes. And that's the thing. And I'm conscious of the time because obviously your new employers are we'll probably at some point, if we could sit here for 6 hours, they might phone and say, "Where are you?
Where are you? What's happening?"
So, with respect to Weber Wenzel, you're, and I'm going to have to let you go at some point. So, the next step in the journey. So, looking at your LinkedIn profile, you, which obviously because you've only been there a week, you haven't been updated. The key, the fact that you're the founder of the key, and is that one of your side hustles where you're doing legal research? I mean, obviously it might, when you're working full time for someone, it probably goes dormant for a little bit.
So it's not really dormant, I should say, and it did start as legal research because I was helping people with their research activities, and that was something I was doing all throughout. But now what it has become is actually a place where I talk to young lawyers, actually. So that's what's happened. Unofficially, because I haven't updated the LinkedIn to do that. But what has happened is that right now, because of the impact that I'm having, a lot of young lawyers reach out to me and want to understand what I'm doing. Malawians in specifically. They want to understand, how did you do that? How do you migrate? How do you stand out in a different country that is not yours? And all those pieces. So what I'm doing there, and most of them are young lawyers. So what I'm doing there is actually just helping them. And because of this transition I had of moving away from home as a young person, it was hard. And I had no one to tell me, apart from my mom, to tell me, you're going to be fine. Yeah. So that's basically what I do. I have right now maybe 7 students that I've supported during this journey, and they're now in America. Some of them are here in South Africa. Some of them are in England. Another is actually in Poland, where I supported them through this journey of applying for their schools and getting settled there. And if they have any concerns, they do reach out to me and I'm able to talk about. So the key is sort of like unlocking that inner you, that boldness that is within you that can survive these harsh environments, and survive away from your family and constant support. So that's basically where we are right now. And it's just something that I enjoy doing. I actually just do it for free. To be honest, it's not like I charge a bill or anything.
Well, you probably shouldn't have said that because you might now get about 40,000 emails asking for it. But that is, I said it at the beginning. So as we're wrapping up, it's nice to be able to say it again. You are the epitome of the reason I started this podcast.
Thank you, Rob.
And you are honestly, you don't know how many people you will reach with your story.
Thank you.
Well, I'm not quite ready to wrap up yet, but I want to thank you, a little interlude. Thank you for your, sharing that with us, because it is really inspiring, and it is inspiring to not even just to the younger generation. It's those going through their legal careers and looking for a change.
Yes.
They'll even the older generation can take a lot from your bravery and the ability to be okay. I might make some mistakes along the way, but it's fine.
A lot.
Look, I am gonna let you go, but there's a couple of things I want to touch on, because the legal tech fusion space really interests me. Yeah. Now, if I can try and combine a few questions into one, you're and obviously you can't give the game away with your current employer, what they're doing. So I won't ask you.
Not yet.
That, as much as I really want to know. Let's see if we can do it this way. You are at the cutting edge. You have a passion for the tech and for business and commerce. Yes. That's clear to see. Yes. You love the law as well. Fusing all that together at one of the top law firms on the entire continent is such a wonderful opportunity. Where, aside from your current employer, because again we don't want to give anything away, where do you think legal tech is going to take the industry in the next couple of years? And I know it's a difficult question, but what's on the horizon? What jumps out at you as something that's going to be, where are we heading?
I mean, that's a really tough question because we're still, because we're still exploring. But what I have noted now is the reception of lawyers is changing, because what legal tech is doing is saying, we're here to stay. There is no other way to do it but this particular way if you want a future. Because if you want your firm to progress, if you want your department to add value to the companies. So, right now with generative AI, it's just been a game changer, because other parts of the business are enjoying using it. So you find that other people in other parts of the business will tell you, I found this easy because I could just prompt to write me a summary, and then it gave me that summary and all of that. I don't need to think too much about this anymore. So there are all these pieces that are putting so much pressure into the legal space. And so I feel like right now where we are is that a lot of lawyers are thinking, how can we do this cautiously? It's no longer about, we're not going to do this. It's more about, okay, how are we going to do this in a safe way, in a responsible way, because we need to do it. So the future is a lot of integration, and a lot of growth in this space. So I'm really encouraging right now, a lot of lawyers to dare to do something not so traditional and come into this space and help us move the needle forward, because we need to do that.
I love it.
Yeah.
I think that's that message I'm going to clip, because that is really important. It's something that I say to a lot of lawyers and law firms that we work with as well, who maybe are not at the stage yet where they have a plan. First of all, that you've just highlighted there, that there has been a big leap forward to now going, okay, so how do we use it? How do we integrate it? And for me, the word is interpretation as well. Yes. Like, as I said to someone the other day, look, if I'm going to go as a business, I'm going to instruct a legal team on something. The person who says, "Oh, look, I do an old school way. It's all very paper driven,
Yes.
and my secretary dictates my letters for me, and I don't even know how to turn my computer on. Or there's someone sits there and goes, look, we've integrated with the very finest, latest technology that actually works and will be really relatable to your business. I'm not. That doesn't mean I'm going to drop my fees. I'm going to go with the people that are interpreting the technology and taking my business forward.
Yes.
And I think there was a big fear at the beginning when AGI was coming on board that people were going to lose their jobs,
Yes.
and it's all going to become free law,
Yes.
and that's just not the case.
No, I mean, funny enough, you should mention that because my brother, he's actually another PhD holder, but he did economics.
Wonderful family.
But his research actually showed that at every time where there was an introduction of technology, it actually created more jobs than loss of jobs. So you're gonna see that when the ATM came in, okay, some bank tellers are gonna lose jobs, right? But it's gonna create a whole world of jobs that are also there, or specializations that need to be there to support this. So what is happening in this field is that it's going to open up, if people are bold enough, which they should be actually, so many other types of jobs. And we've already started seeing those jobs because there are some people now who just finished the law degrees, haven't done the articles or anything, but they want to start to learn about this. And the younger generation, even in university, have already started creating apps.
Yeah.
You know, so they
It's
already
leveling the playing field in many ways. Yeah.
Yes, so they already want this space. You couple up that with articles and admission, and you've just supercharged yourself effectively because you...
Lovely term.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You've just done that because, you know, you're Iron Man. So you're brilliant, you are capable, you're smart, but you've got this suit, which is the technology and everything, that will just charge you forward. You can fly higher now. So it's not about taking away from you, but adding to you so that you can do more. Actually,
I couldn't agree more. And on that note, I think we're going to end. I think that what you've just said there about your brother and his work and tying in everything you've said there, it's exactly right. These are job creation moves we're in at the moment. Yes, jobs change all the time.
All the time.
I've been in the executive search space for over 20 years.
Yes.
Every year, jobs change.
Yes.
But more and more jobs are created.
That's true.
Ruth, I want to thank you massively for sharing your journey with us. Honestly, you are such an inspiration. I'm going to get you back in the future because I want to dig even deeper into your thoughts on where the legal tech space is going. But for now, on behalf of all the listeners as well, thank you so much for sharing that with us.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure, and I hope that this has the impact that you hope it will.
It will do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thanks. Bye.